Hello and welcome everyone. Today, we're going to delve into a matter that has been shaking the financial and judicial world for the past few days, not only in Vietnam but also on an international scale. This is the story of Truong My Lan, a Vietnamese billionaire who has been involved, convicted, and sentenced to death for a massive fraud case estimated at, hold on to your seats, $44 billion. That's right. How did Truong My Lan, who until now reigned over a huge empire in the real estate sector, become involved in one of the biggest financial fraud cases in Vietnam's history? Today, we will dissect together this sordid affair, from the stakes to the mechanisms used, including the repercussions of this conviction on the country's economic sector, as well as the reaction of the international community. We will analyze everything together. But before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our in-depth analyses. Let's go for a new episode full of shocking revelations. This lovely young woman is Truong My Lan. Back when she was fresh and lively like in this photo, she barely stepped into the world of business and finance. Today, she looks more like this. Yes, quite a difference indeed. So here's what made her change and why she seems to carry all the world's problems on her shoulders today. For those who don't know her, here's her story. Truong My Lan, born Truong My Lan on October 13, 1956, into a modest family in Vietnam, a nation marked, as you know, by its complex history and economic struggles. Although precise details about her date of birth and exact location remain poorly documented and unconfirmed, it is known that Truong My Lan grew up in an environment where resilience and resourcefulness were necessary every day. During her childhood, Truong My Lan demonstrated a sharp mind and an impressive ability to understand business dynamics, even at a very young age. Her parents, although not wealthy, did everything they could to provide the daughter with a solid education and quality schooling. Truong My Lan attended the local school where she excelled, particularly in mathematics and science, showing an early interest in numbers and business. After completing her secondary education with excellent results, Truong My Lan pursued higher education at the university, where she studied finance and commerce. Naturally, it was during these university years that she developed a strong inclination towards the real estate sector, which would later become the core of her business empire. Truong My Lan's hard work during her formative years laid the foundations for what would become a rapid and successful career in real estate. Her ability to identify undervalued market opportunities and navigate the complexities of real estate business in Vietnam quickly established her reputation as a shrewd and determined businesswoman. After completing her studies in finance and commerce, Truong quickly recognized the immense potential of the Vietnamese real estate market, which was booming due to the country's economic opening and influx of foreign investments. With keen insight, an exceptional talent for business, and an innate understanding of economic cycles, Truong My Lan finally took the first step by founding her own real estate company. She started modestly, focusing mainly on small to medium-sized projects that required meticulous attention to detail and flawless execution. Her ability to deliver projects promptly and with superior quality quickly earned her a reputation for reliability and innovation. Everyone who knew her before this scandal erupted saw Truong My Lan's career as a perfect illustration of the dazzling rise of a determined entrepreneur in the highly competitive real estate sector in Vietnam. Over the years, Truong My Lan's ambitions grew along with her business. She diversified her investments, expanding her activities beyond residential real estate to include commercial complexes, leisure centers, and urban development projects. Each successful project added millions to her personal fortune and strengthened her position as a leader in the real estate sector. So much so that her company became one of the largest in Vietnam, influencing not only the local but also the regional economy, and her family became one of the richest in the country. Speaking of fortune, Truong My Lan's wealth was evaluated in billions of dollars, a result of her strategic vision and skillful management of her company's explosive growth. The young entrepreneur navigated through regulatory challenges and market fluctuations to maximize profits while significantly contributing to the urbanization and modernization of several Vietnamese cities. Truong My Lan was perceived as a symbol of success and innovation, a figure who transformed the Vietnamese urban landscape and left an indelible mark on the economy. This, of course, was before the scandal in which she finds herself entangled today came to light. Accused of massive fraud, her story raises important questions about business ethics and the inherent risks of rapid wealth accumulation. Here's how things went wrong. If it's making such a noise, it's because the financial scandal involving Truong My Lan is one of the most significant in Vietnam's economic history, as it exposes fraudulent practices and weaknesses in the country's regulatory system, causing shockwaves throughout the national and international economy. The magnitude of the fraud, estimated at $44 billion, has had profound repercussions not only on the Vietnamese economy but also on the confidence of international investors. It's one of the largest in terms of diverted amounts, but also one of the most complex due to the fraud mechanisms employed. Given her heightened ingenuity, it's hardly surprising. The heart of the My Lan scandal lies in a series of financial operations designed to manipulate and inflate the value of her real estate projects. Companies under her control engaged in suspicious and dubious accounting practices and interconnected transactions aimed at creating an illusion of prosperity and financial stability. Furthermore, assets were systematically overvalued to secure larger loans from banks. These funds were then partially used to repay old loans, creating an excessive chain of hidden debts behind disguised balance sheets. A ticking time bomb, but the most criticized and devastating aspect of this fraud was the use of circular, or looped, loans. Truong My Lan and her associates indulged in creating false transactions between companies under their control to artificially inflate assets and income. This mechanism not only maintained a facade of liquidity but also attracted new investments from actors who sincerely believed in the financial health of the My Lan projects and easily fell for the bait. But as expected, the bubble burst, and the fraudulent system inevitably collapsed, resulting in massive losses for banks, investors, and economic repercussions for thousands of Vietnamese. The revelation of these practices prompted a thorough investigation, highlighting the possible complicity of officials and regulators who may have turned a blind eye or facilitated some of these operations. Everything was brought to light. Unsurprisingly, My Lan was arrested following these acts of fraud and was tried in a trial that lasted several months, attracting extensive and intense media coverage, as well as public debate on corruption and ethics in business. Unprecedented, it was arguably the most extraordinary trial ever held in Vietnam, befitting one of the world's largest banking frauds. On the last day of the trial, in the premises of the colonial-era courthouse, under its imposing yellow portico in Ho Chi Minh City, the 67-year-old Vietnamese real estate developer stood accused of looting one of the country's largest banks for 11 years. The trial detailed how Truong orchestrated this vast network of false transactions and fictitious accounting. Even the typically secretive communist authority spoke unusually detailed, meticulously exposing all the underpinnings of this affair to the media. They indicated, among other things, that 2,700 people were called to testify, involving 10 state prosecutors and around 200 lawyers. The evidence was contained in 104 boxes weighing a total of 6 tons. 85 other individuals were tried with Truong My Lan, who naively denied the accusations against her. All defendants were found guilty. 4 received life sentences. Others received prison terms ranging from 3 years suspended to 20 years. Truong My Lan's husband and niece were sentenced to 9 and 17 years in prison, respectively. As for Truong My Lan, considering the magnitude of the fraud and the disastrous impacts it caused, the court decided to impose the death penalty on her, emphasizing the exceptional gravity of these financial crimes. It's true that in 2024, such a sentence can shock as it's an exceptional verdict. My Lan is one of the few women in Vietnam to receive the death penalty for a financial offense. But this carefully considered decision highlights the staggering extent of the fraud. Truong My Lan was found guilty of borrowing $44 billion from Saigon Commercial Bank. The judgment obliges her to repay $27 billion, a sum prosecutors believe may be unrecoverable. Some think the death penalty is a way for the court to encourage the restitution of some missing billions. This conviction, though extreme, is seen by some as a strong signal from the Vietnamese government in its fight against corruption and financial malpractice, especially in vital sectors like real estate. However, it has also sparked a debate on human rights and the application of the death penalty for economic crimes. The downfall of Truong My Lan marked a turning point in the perception of corruption in Vietnam. It showed that even the most powerful could be held accountable, but it also highlighted the need for deeper reforms to prevent future occurrences of similar frauds. This scandal remains a crucial case study on the risks of rapid economic growth without adequate regulatory framework and oversight. And thus ends the story of this woman who single-handedly upheaved the economy of an entire country.